Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're going to take a look at the XL variant of Shadow Gardevoir in the Master League Premier Cup. We're going to have a quite toxic team here, I would say. You can make it even more toxic if you're going to use the Shadow variant of each Pokemon, as you could use also the Shadow variant of Snorlax, which would be better here for sure, I would say. As well as you could use the Shadow variant of the Rhyperior if you have that one, would also most likely make this team even a little bit better. Here we're going to go for the Cowboy Hat variant because it's hilarious, and of course the normal variant of Rhyperior because I haven't got a good one yet. Otherwise, we're going to have here the Shadow Gardevoir, which actually has quite a lot of play in this current meta, and this team is also quite interesting. You know Snorlax Double Charm, which you can also run. You could also decide to go ahead and use a Haze Up of the Primarina with Waterfall for this team, which also would work out. But what is kind of funny about this team is that if you win the lead, you basically win the game. Like, there's not really anything that the opponent can do then at this point of time. The core between Gardevoir as well as the Rhyperior is nearly perfect, and basically, if you're going to encounter Steel-type Pokemon, Rhyperior is your boy. If you're going to encounter anything else, most of the time it's like Dragon or Dragon Breath user, you're going to have the Gardevoir for it, and it's just like such a great team together. And Rhyperior with Breaking Swipe is very cool, but Breaking Swipe really did not get debuffs for me today. Like, I had like 4 or 5 in a row where I didn't get the debuff. Here it doesn't matter, the opponent has the forfeit, and we can move on to the next opponent. So, we're going to have our Snorlax here in the lead, and we can talk a little bit more on how to play this team here, because it is kind of important to kind of win the lead matchup, and that's kind of why I wanted to also have the Rhyperior here as a Pokemon in the back here compared to some other Charm user, mainly because of Magnezone. Here they're actually going to get the debuff, which is kind of annoying, but I can still reach a superpower and get the shield. I'm totally happy about this. I just need to get them lower. I decided to let this move go through. I think I would still survive a Wild Charge from this range as well, but they decided to go for a Mirror Shot anyway, and I think this must be another Mirror Shot because, yeah, this was too fast. It is another Mirror Shot, and they get 2 attack drops from the Mirror Shot, which is really annoying because this was way above the odds and going to allow them to survive this superpower if they wanted to, but now we can hit them with a -4 superpower, which is kind of hilarious. And we're going to be able to get them kind of low, but we can also take a charge move from the opponent here. If it's a Wild Charge, they're going to go down. It is a Wild Charge, they're just anticipating whatever is coming in there. But yeah, like this, we're going to be able to get some extra energy. We can go for the Rock Wrecker before they can do anything. And now we have 2 shields, a Rhyperior with full HP and a Gardevoir with full HP, and they have Kudra, so goodbye there. But still, this game is going to be still kind of hilarious, as we're going to see here that the opponent is going to be able to go for a charge move. And I had no idea this Pokemon would learn Sludge Wave. It doesn't matter at all, but we can go for a 2-shield flex here, but that's kind of cool, so good game there to the opponent. Next opponent, let's take a look at what this is going to be here. We're going to have another Magnezone in the lead. You have to hope that they stay in and go for a charge move, because if they swap out, it might be a little bit tricky, and maybe even go for a charge move early, because at the end of the day, you're gonna get the shield or a ton of damage against them. And look at this. This was my favorite play of them all. I was able to catch a Wild Charge, sneak in a move, and knock them out at the same time, which was just so hilarious, because all the energy was completely wasted from them. And it was just like so funny to see that we actually got the fast move through there as well, which really helped us out. So yeah, let's take a look here. The Dynamic Punch is going to knock us out. We can go ahead and go back into our Gardevoir at this point to just farm them all the way down. I will see here also a Togekiss in the back. I kind of want to swap out as soon as possible because the Togekiss would win this matchup usually, but as I can see here, we can just swap out, go for a Body Slam. 2 Body Slams should take the shields, and as we have still a charge move stored on our Gardevoir, we're looking in a very good spot here right now. Counter is double resisted, so we're going to have no real issues with the HP that we're at there either. As you can see here, I can go for another Body Slam, force another shield from the opponent, and even if they want to go ahead and use a shield here, go for an Ancient Power and force my shield, it is going to be kinda okay for us, because they still don't have the Conkeldurr, but we should be able to reach a Body Slam in time. We still have a Triple Axle, we can still survive a Charm, and so we're going to be able to, yeah, win this game here pretty easily. So let's take a look at the next opponent. We're going to see here that the opponent is going to have the Annihilate in the lead. Basically the worst possible lead for this team, and so we're going to be able to swap out into our Rhyperior. And there's something that I learned from Rhyperior. I should just go straight Rock Wrecker. It is never worth it to bait with this Pokemon, because nobody expected you get to the Rock Wrecker that fast. Like, it is literally never really worth it for me. I have not seen really a single point where the opponent was like, yeah, I'm going to shield up the Rock Wrecker, because like, everybody does not really expect that you get there that fast after the Mud Slap got the energy boost from, I think, going now to like 9 energy per usage. you're gonna get there like one fast move earlier, and so people just still don't expect it. So if you run Rhyperior, just go straight for it. Like, there's no real point of going for a bait here. I try to get the bait done just in order to yeah, get the attack drop onto the opponent, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Here you saw me storing one move, which does not really matter at all either, because as you're gonna see here, the opponent is going to have a perfect hard counter team to mine, so there's nothing that I can do about literally perfect hard counter. I can just forfeit and move on to the next opponent. Rhyperior in the lead is going to be a little bit of a trickier one. Let's take a look here. We're going to have the Rhyperior against us, where we can go for the superpower. This is going to do some nice super effective damage, and the opponent decides to use a shield, and I decide to swap out here, because if they have a Magnezone in the back, we're still going to be fine. I doubt that they're going to have a Magnezone in the back, because then they would have a double weakness to fighting. They swap into a Snorlax, so literally what I just said is going to be a little bit of a lie anyway, because they're going to have a double weakness to fighting. But you're going to get the attack drop here, and this attack drop is ginormous. So why? Because now we can survive the superpower. It's an outrage? That's also fine. We would have survived the superpower most likely at this point because of the debuff, but an outrage we can take as well. Say goodbye to the opponent as a rock wrecker, going to wreck them, but this is just going to be a body slam, and so we can let this move go through. It's not really an issue. And we can go ahead and try to go for a breaking swipe against the opponent's Rhyperior, which is not going to succeed, as the opponent can farm me down before that. But I can swap onto my own Snorlax. I'm gonna let this move go through. I try to keep my shields alive here for my Gardevoir, hoping that there's something in the back that I can deal with. It is going to be a Florges, but is this going to work out for us? It is going to be a very, very close matchup for us. We have to use 2 shields here against the opponent's Florges for sure, so let's see how it's going to go. We're going to see the first move coming through. I decide to use a shield. It's going to be a disarming voice. Great bait by the opponent. This can just be a disarming voice, so we can actually let this move go through. It's going to just be a disarming voice. We can try to farm him all the way down, and this works out pretty well. So we still have a shield left. I can go for a triple Axel. This is going to force the final shield from the opponent. It's going to be a super effective move. And we just still have to hit a superpower. There's no way. Like, there's no way that we can hit a superpower here. They can go for that charge move. It is going to not drop my attack, which doesn't really matter in this case anyway. But actually, with a 1 HP, our Snorlax still survives, and we can get a knockout and start off with a 4-1, which is kind of nice for me as well. So as you can see here, I was able to claim it, and we can move on to the next opponent. This is going to be an interesting one. We're going to have here the Florges in the lead, which is going to be a Pokemon that, yeah, is a little bit tricky to deal with, sometimes for our backline as well. So we're gonna just try to play it out. Here's an interesting fact about this matchup. I think if you have a Shadow variant of a Snorlax, you have a way better matchup. But you're going to be able to win this in a zero shield scenario if the opponent goes for double Moonblast. This is the wrong play from the opponent though. I saw a lot of people doing this, but what the opponent is supposed to do is they are supposed to go ahead and go for a Moonblast as well as then for 2 disarming voices. Here we see the correct play of playing this, but they swap out anyway, so it doesn't really matter for them, but they would have been able to win the zero shields if they do that. If like they just decide to swap out, it's totally fine for me as well. But you're gonna see here that Shadow Gardevoir can take down the opponent's Shadow variant of Gyarados. Awkward Tail Wolf done most likely 60%, so I decided to use a shield on this Pokemon. We see the Florges coming back in. I was like, disarming voice I can still take, but I still decided to use a shield, and it was actually a Moonblast, and the opponent decides to forfeit at this point, so say goodbye to them and move on to the next opponent. So let's see if the opponent plays his run here correct. You have to be a little bit careful as well with your body stamps, because I was really bad today at timing my fast move with Lick. I always kind of struggle with that against like 2-turn fast moves, because the opponent a lot of times just got a free one in. Here I think that was kind of fine. I think that was kind of an accurate one, but a lot of times it just gave them a free fast move, which is not really ideal. I think this one, for example, was like one of them. But as you can see, the body slam is going to be able to connect. And if they go for a Moonblast here, we would still be able to survive it and win the zero shield scenario. They decide to go for disarming voice again, and this time around they stay in and go for another one, which is the correct call. What I would recommend you to do here is actually to use a shield, because they're going to swap out here into Galissapod, which is pretty bad for me. But usually you kind of want to yeah, get your alignment. Galissapod is honestly the worst possible Pokemon to face for this team. It is great for the lead, but basically Galissapod is always in the back, and so it's kind of annoying. Here they're gonna get the defense drop, 30% chance, really going to matter, because like this, they're gonna put me at 1 HP after this one, and otherwise I would have been still able to survive some and do some damage against whatever wants to come back in here, which is going to be the Feraligatr, and at this point of time, double water backline is going to be just too difficult to deal with for a Rhyperior, and I just decide to forfeit. Next opponent. decent lead, not the best lead, but we can at least get some energy here. But they decide to swap out anyway, and this is going to be great for us, because like this, we have a huge energy advantage compared to the opponent's Snorlax. They have the best buddy variant of this Pokemon. By the way, best buddying your Snorlax is very smart in this meta, because I think you have a bulk point against best buddied Gyarados or something like this with it. So yeah, that is something that would definitely make quite a lot of sense to do that. I don't have mine best buddy because I'm way too lazy for best buddying Pokemon unless it's really needed. For example, my last one was like the Bastion, the Shadow Bastion, which really needed the best buddy ribbon on it in order to be decent here for those very limited metas. It is not really worth it in my opinion to go for it. But here it's going to be a guessing game who's going to go for the superpower first. I'm going to go for a body slam here first, but also I have a ton of energy advantage. And so what I can do is I can just go for the superpower immediately afterwards, and this is going to knock them out if I let this move go through, and they decide to do exactly this. And this is going to be great, because now I can align my Rhyperior against the opponent's Skeledirge, and the Skeledirge is not going to really appreciate it. It kind of appreciates its superpower though, which is kind of fine. But I also have Breaking Swipe, which can drop the opponent's attack if it's going to like swap out eventually here. But I decide to still use a shield just in order to try to get the attack drop against whatever wants to come back in, but they decide to forfeit anyway. Very likely was like something like Magnezone in the back or whatever here. So what do we see? We're going to see the Gyarados coming in. Gyarados is going to be actually a fairly decent Pokemon for us to deal with. This is going to be a fairly good matchup for us. You're going to see the Body Slam going to connect. We can try to go for another Body Slam against the opponent, which is going to work out quite well for us here. Let's see what the opponent is going to try to do next. They're going to go for more Aqua Tails. Usually you can win this matchup, I think, with a Snorlax, but not if they're going to go for a Crunch and get the debuff immediately. Honestly, I was quite unlucky with this team and still went positive with this team, which is kind of wild, so I cannot really complain too much about it. I think I went a total of, let me guess, I think it was 7 and 5 with this team. So like I went positive. I feel like if I had a little bit of a better luck sometimes, I would have been better off as well. But I also misplayed some stuff, which you're going to see here right now. I should have not went for the charge move. I should have swapped out immediately into my Rhyperior. Because I didn't do this, I will not be able to reach the Breaking Swipe in time. I lose a CMP tie here. And this is basically completely gonna have a butterfly effect now. They can knock me out here. I kind of have to go into my Snorlax, which I would have been able to go for a superpower now otherwise anyway. And now I cannot farm them down here. I'm fairly certain I would have been able to win this game if I just went ahead and swapped out before, but it is what it is. Let's move on to the not the final one, the second to last one for today. Florges in the lead. Honestly, I feel like Skeledirge has a lot of potential in the lead. Like Skeledirge lead, something like Magnezone in the back would make quite a lot of sense, but then you're going to be weak, of course, against ground-type Pokemon. Really depends on what you want to use. But as you can see here, we can go for another Body Slam against the opponent. We're going to try to play out the Zero Shields again. If they go for 2 Moonblasts, we're going to be in a great spot. Let's see what they're going to decide to do here. They decide to go ahead and go for another Moonblast. And like this, we're going to be able to align ourselves or get a shield advantage, and this is something that I really enjoy. So we can see, we can go for another Body Slam. This is not the correct play of playing this out for the opponent, because now we can outspeed them. Now we can go ahead and knock them out here and align ourselves. And alignment is key, as you're gonna see here already. Magnezone in the back. We can swap out. We can try to take some damage onto them. No real reason to shield up the first Mirror Shot here at all. And let's see what's coming back in. It's going to be a Shadow variant of Dragonite. We can say goodbye to this Pokemon because we have the Breaking Swipe, which is going to get the debuff here onto the opponent. We're going to be able to swap out into the Gardevoir, which does take 0 damage from the opponent, which is kind of wild. But as you can see here, we can go for a triple Axle. This is going to be able to most likely knock them out. Or actually it doesn't. We can still try to farm them down though, charm them down. But I decided to let this move go through actually just to see what is going to happen here. Wild Charge is going to come through, but we can just farm down and win this game. Final one for today, let's see what we're going to encounter here. We're going to have a lead that's actually fairly decent for us, but they swap out into their Snorlax, which I'm totally okay with. I can go for a superpower and dip. I think this is the best strategy in this kind of case, especially if Primarina runs the Water type fast move. You kind of don't want to have your Rhyperior against it. So let's see what we can do here. We can go for the Breaking Swipe, and this is going to be able to now connect, and it's gonna get no attack drop. That's really sad for us, because now we're going to be forced to use a shield here on a superpower. Otherwise, I would have been able to let this move go through and still align myself without using a single shield. But 50% chance is a 50% chance, I guess, as the next superpower is going to connect here. We had to use a shield on the first one. This is just going to be a Body Slam. This is not going to be a superpower. That was kind of clear. But at least here, again, we should go for the Rock Wrecker most likely, but I decided to go for the Breaking Swipe. Here, I could have went for the Breaking Swipe maybe even a little bit earlier, and then I would have had a chance maybe if I got the debuff, which I didn't get here again, which is also going to be very impactful. Like, literally, not getting the debuff twice here is going to be really, really impactful for this game. As you're gonna see here, Body Slam coming through. By the way, I still think it's better for Breaking Swipe to be a 50% chance move. While it sucks in this kind of scenarios here, I think it's definitely still the better play. If we got the debuff basically prior, this would have not even nearly done enough damage here, and we would have had a way better chance to still knock out the opponent's Magnezone, but sadly we are not going to be able to, so this game is going to just go down by being quite unlucky. Like, literally, if I got the debuff against the Snorlax, I would have won the game. If I got the debuff against the Primarina, I would have won the game. I didn't get either of them, and so sadly we're going to lose this one. And so that's going to be it for this video. I think this team is actually great to play. Like, I would really recommend you to try it out, but just try to be a little bit more luckier than I am, and I'll see you then. Bye bye.